Welcome to Metaphysical Hippie Chicks 2.0. I'm Susanna Masseri, psychic medium and author of Living Beyond Death. My co-hosts are psychic medium Annalisa Bastiani and ET experiencer Terry Scalia. We focus on grounded, honest conversations about consciousness, mediumship, channeling, ETs, psychology, and modern spiritual culture. Thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Tokeli Baker, an artist, composer, writer, and teacher whose life took an extraordinary turn after a traumatic fall in 2017 that led to an out-of-body experience. Her memoir, The Nostalgic Future, explores how that life-changing event transformed her understanding of consciousness, creativity, and human potential. Through painting, music, writing, and teaching, Tokeli explores expanded awareness, the deeper dimensions of human perception, and what may exist beyond ordinary reality. Her work invites us to reconsider the nature of consciousness and our untapped creative potential. Welcome, Tokeli.
Thank you very much.
It is really great to have you here today.
I'm very grateful that you guys are taking some of your time, your Saturday time with me.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to say beforehand, or do you want me to get right into questions?
You know, it's funny. I was reading something recently that said, start everything with your most important thing, your most fun, exciting, best part. Don't save it. So yes, I would like to give my message first, actually, because you know how usually you're on a podcast and they ask you, well, do you have a message, at the end? Well, I'm going to give you my message at the beginning because I think it's so important. The reason why I wrote this book, instead of staying quiet and staying anonymous in my garden, which is where I spend most of my time, is because I know that everyone feels chaos, and I understand that chaos is abundant right now. And that is because we're in a very special time. But there's something after that. Everything is rising to its highest conclusion. I know that feels almost impossible to imagine because of the chaos. But the chaos is actually purposeful. The chaos is because we're in this thing called the Awakening Project. That is the term that they told me. And this awakening, this revealing, this unfolding where the layers are peeled back to reveal is necessary in order to awaken. The actual awakening process, which you guys all know all this stuff, and probably I'm preaching to the choir even with the listeners, because whoever would be led to your podcast obviously is aware of a lot of this stuff, but it never hurts to be reminded, because I know I need the reminding all the time. You know how sometimes some people can sleep through anything? Like they can sleep through like a train wreck. That's why we keep seeing these layers unfolding in ever increasing chaos. I always call it chaos, but I'm sure there's, devastation. All the different words, right, to describe how crappy it is sometimes right now. But those people that really have to be jostled, like I'm a really light sleeper, but my husband could sleep through a tornado. So there are people that this will, just like some people, like for me, I was a completely different person before I fell down the stairs in 2017. So for me, I needed that sort of break from reality in order to awaken, because I was very, agnostic, atheistic, just materialistic before this. But some people, you noticed, maybe woke up in 2020, right? Because we had a big event then, and people were they wake up in 2020 and the world is so weird. They almost feel like they're living in a sci-fi movie or something. Like they woke up in the Truman Show and they're being punked or something, because it's just so crazy and it's so weird. And then I've noticed recently with all the political things, and now they're going to talk about the disclosure thing and all these things happening, like more people now I notice are starting to go, okay, what is going on here? Because this is not okay with me and it doesn't seem real. So all of these layers of awakening are leading to a time when we're very awakened, right? We're very in the game, what I call the game, the material plane, the world that we live in, the third dimension. But we're very aware that it is the Maya, or the game, the illusion, where we start to consciously kind of co-create. And it is in that time when we all become more awakened that we create consciously this thing I'm calling the nostalgic future. And the reason why I called it the nostalgic future, and And there are lots and lots of names for this. People are calling it 5D or New Earth or many words again. But it really basically means the same thing. It means the nostalgic future is not a place. It's not like a new planet or a new timeline even. It's a new way of being, a new state or modality, a new, I would say, frequency or consciousness state of awareness, that of being awakened and being a co-creator within the game through the way that you choose to vibrate, right? The way that you choose to be, your feelings. And so for me, I discovered through my guides and through this experience over the last 9 years since I fell down the stairs, that nostalgia was like a cheat code for me in raising my vibration. It wasn't just like, oh, meditating or doing all these different things, like, you know, burning this type of incense or whatever. It was nostalgia that did it for me on a consistent basis of, you know, listening to certain types of music that's and it's different for everybody, right? But my music or watching old movies, that's one of my things, or certain types of books, or for me also the creative path, but in a nostalgic way. This idea of nostalgia always raised my vibration. So I would constantly be feeling as though time changed and was slowing down, and I could just really be in the moment, and I could really kind of live in the new earth or new 5D or whatever the people are calling it now. And I could actually be or articulate that expression, that frequency, and actually be in it. So we can hasten the nostalgic future is what I'm trying to say. We can actually just decide to create that now. Because I know a lot of people some of us, let's say, right? You and I we're all like, kind of like, okay, come on, everybody, let's go. Because some people are still fist fighting in the streets, you know, but we're ready, and we can actually hasten it through the way we choose to be in our modality. That's all I want to say. Everything else
Very
you
cool.
ask me is downstream of that.
That's perfect. And there's so many questions I have out of that. One being that I know for myself, and it happens to a lot of other people, that sometimes a traumatic event happens that opens up more of our creativity and awareness and changes us, changes our reality, changes our perception, that allows us to go further in personal awareness. And I've forgotten the other questions that I had as you were speaking.
So are you asking, what is your question about that?
So my question is, to me, do you think that this wasn't an accident, even though it was an accident?
Exactly. Correct. 100%. I mean, it was the time of my destiny. I actually had my hands read recently by a very, very talented palmist. Very hard to find a good palmist now. They don't, you know, it's like a parlor trick now, but she's very good, an older woman. And she said there's a demarcation, a specific timeline when the shift will happen for me midlife, right? I was in my late 40s. I'm in my late 50s now. It was actually, what's the date today? It's June
27th.
Okay, so actually in 3 days, June 30th, is my 9-year anniversary of falling down the stairs. So
wow.
Thank you very much for having me on. So 9 years ago, that moment when I did fall down the stairs, and actually there was a moment prior to falling where actually time stopped and I had that conversation with the lady. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's 100% destiny. I 100% believe in destiny, and also that it is compatible with free will, I would like to say.
Totally
and
agree.
I think you know what I mean.
I think it's both. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the conversation you had and the actual experience of falling down the stairs, and what happened to you after you were on the floor.
Yeah, so I was preparing for a trip. I was carrying a laundry basket up a flight of stairs in my home, and I had the laundry basket in front of me, and I simply misstepped. I just didn't land. When I misstepped, the living room, it's hard to explain, but it was almost like a vortex was opened up and time stopped. And before I ever even hit my foot, hit the ground, tumbled, did anything, a very loud but inside of me, so I'm not saying sound waves, sound, but inner sound, said to me, this is going to change everything. Do you accept? And I didn't say out loud, but within my consciousness said, kind of question marky, yes. I mean, like not 100%, but like, okay, I'm down for it. And then there was a loud crack, like a very deafening crack. That I remember for sure. Again, haven't hit the ground yet. So that crack opened up this sound in the place that I was in, my home, but also I was kind of in another place at the same time. It's very, very, liminal, like kind of between. And, so I then fell and time, began to come back into its normal speed. But then I heard these 4 sounds, and it took me a long time before I could really kind of delineate what those sounds were and, what that place was that I was in. Because I was still in my living room. My physical form felt that I was still in the living room, but some greater, bigger, kind of like out here consciousness of me was aware that I was also in a white egg. I was in this grand white egg where it was like rounded, where the ceiling meets the wall. There was no seam. There was no like that, no 90-degree angles or whatever. It was just a rounded, huge white, I call it the egg, but it's like being in a big hallway kind of, but like totally white. And then I heard these 4 sounds. The first sound was, have you ever been in an earthquake? I'm from California, so we know what that feels like. Do you know?
Yep, me too.
A mild one.
Yeah. If you're in a really big earthquake, I've been in a few of them actually. The windows and the doors and everything rumbles like quite loud. And you feel like you're inside of I always reckon it to being like if you were on the undercarriage of a train as it's ripping through the station, that's how that sounds. You're on wash in rumbling. And so there was a rumbling, very loud. And I recognized that sound several years later when I had my first lucid dream and I went through what's that called? Sleep paralysis, because that sound returned. And then I heard tinnitus, essentially. It's like the ringing in your ears, but like for me, it was like bell-like, and it's still there. It never went away. Now, if I had tinnitus prior to this event, I never noticed it, but I always notice it now. It's always there. So I don't know if I had tinnitus before. I'm trying to be very scientific about things, but it's hard to be scientific about experiences because there's nobody else in the room. So anyway, and then the next sound, you guys are close to my age. So do you remember the whirly gig, the whirly tube? It's like a long corrugated, not rubber, but corrugated plastic tube.
Yeah.
And you could go like this
yes,
over your head and it would go.
Whoa, that just unlocked a memory. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right? Okay, well, that's a really important sound. And it would lead me to like 9 years later with my whole experience with the whole extraterrestrial thing. So I heard a symphony of those, not just one, but like many. And then I heard voices speaking and talking and whispering, but such a sea of voices, like a chorus of voices that I couldn't tell what they were saying. So all of those sounds were kind of happening at the same time, but I have really good hearing when it comes to like music and stuff because I've spent a lot of time in a studio. So I know how to distinguish one sound from another, if that makes sense. So anyway, it took me a while to like kind of figure out what that was, but those were the 4 sounds. And then that woman's voice, very booming voice. And then that was kind of it that day. Like, I felt like my life was kind of happening around me. Like I could almost see the whirlwind of the wholeness of my life. I basically thought I was dying. And also super important. I don't know if you've all read the book or not, but all I did was sprain my ankle. This is really important because a lot of people believe that I hit my head, but I did not hit my head. I hurt my ankle, my knee, my hip. I wasn't dead. This was not a near-death experience. It was like an out-of-body experience. So it's the pain of destroying the fascia on the top of my foot or whatever happened. Maybe they just wanted me to go to this liminal place, if that makes sense, right? So yeah, I don't know why that happened for me, given that I did not die, but it was very dramatic. I mean, very dramatic. So yeah, I don't know.
I never got a sense in reading your book that I didn't think that at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good.
I think you conveyed it and described it extremely well.
Good. Yeah. Writing the book in general has been a very spiritual experience for me because it brought me back to my creativity, which is kind of the supreme top of my pyramid is creativity, even beyond spirituality, I would say, because I don't want to be a teacher or guru or whatever. I just want to make things. I just like making things. But also, I obviously had something I had to convey. I had a story I had to tell. And I noticed that when I read spiritual books, like no offense to every single other spiritual writer in the whole wide world. They're all great. And the teachings are great, but they're boring kind of. And you know what I mean? I really wanted to write it like a Stephen King novel. I really wanted to write it exciting and literary and female voice driven and narrative. And you know what I mean? So that was really important to me.
And this is based on your life.
Yeah, it's a memoir.
Yeah, it's great. I'm
That's
only
fantastic.
up to chapter 14, but I've enjoyed the book so far very much.
Good. I want it to be fun to read. You know, I really do want it to be fun to read. I don't want it to feel like a self-help book. I don't.
No, it's far from that. It's far from that. You tell the story very, very well, and you're very descriptive. And so I can imagine everything
Good.
that you talk about. I can see it in my mind. Yeah. So,
Good.
yeah, kudos.
That's what I
Very
wanted.
cinematic. Cool.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's important.
So I also got a sense from the book that you were more of a logical thinker before this happened.
I was an atheist. I was interviewed on an atheist radio program when I think my second album, and this guy that was we call him a jazz head. He was like a jazz fan. He knew who I was. And I think he had seen something that I'd done, and he asked to interview me. He was a jazz head, but his radio program, he had been a former minister, and he had started an atheist radio program where they would discuss issues logically and blah, blah, blah. And so we talked about jazz, but then we also talked about quote unquote belief and all of that. So there's proof that I was not this weirdo in the world. There is proof. I was a good girl who was very logical, and now I'm totally crazy. So
how was that
Cool.
integrating?
horrible. I'm lucky to still be married.
Yeah.
And my husband's a scientist. He's a biotech engineer. But yeah, it was very messy. Let me tell you, it was very messy because, I told him everything. I told him I could see things in the astral plane. I could see things. I could hear things. So at the day that I fell down the stairs, literally, I'm not kidding. Everything changed that actual day. And nothing was the same 100% for the rest of my life. And it's only more so now, 9 years later. So on the day I fell, my perception was cracked open. Interestingly, I recently had a pretty well-known astrologer say, yeah, but your whole chart shows all this psychic ability. And then, of course, there's my uncle. And, you read about that in the book about my uncle. So I know that it's in me, or maybe even it was in me, even as a child. It dramatically showed itself on that one day, and it was revealed to me. So to answer your question, I made a very foolish mistake of just telling him everything in real time while it was happening. And it was a lot for him to handle. And he thought I was probably maybe starting to be schizophrenic or something. And I'm sure that and then I think he just got bored of it too. Was just like sick of me talking about that and not talking about normal stuff. So yeah, it was really hard. So I tried to stop talking to him so much about it, but he's my best friend. I'm married to my best friend. So that's hard. And then I didn't know anybody in the spiritual community because I didn't believe in that. So I wasn't in it. And then so quickly I literally stumbled into teaching meditation, which Sun Bear had told me was going to happen. Sun Bear was my first, my main guide and the person that I channel, the group soul that I channel. So I knew I was going to be teaching, even though I really didn't want to. And I said I had no right to do it, but it happened. And then it's happened ever since, very serendipitously. And so, yeah, long-winded answer is, not very gracefully, but it happened. I mean, I am, and
Clearly.
I teach. I'm very much in the spiritual community now, whether I like it or not.
Welcome.
So what year did this happen? Was it
9 years ago?
2017, June 30th, 2017.
So I'm an experiencer.
I know.
Yeah, I have been.
I found you guys through you on Jeff Murrah.
Okay, so you've heard my story. So where did the ETs come into play? Talk about that part.
Yeah. Why is this the hard part? That's what I want to know. I mean, why is this so hard? Why is this the part that I'm so embarrassed about? And like, I'm kind of nervous to reveal. It's one thing to say you talk to spirit guides, or you can see through the astral plane, you can talk to dead people or whatever. That even seems like somewhat normal compared to what I'm going to tell you. But anyway, I don't know. For some reason, I'm all aflutter about this. And there must be some kind of programming that we all have been subjected to, because I think this is the thing. This is like, you've gone a step too far. But anyway, here's what it is. So like 3 days after I fell down the stairs. Okay. So let me just carefully explain what happened. So I destroyed the top of the fascia on the top of my foot. I landed on the top of my foot, not the bottom. I went to an ER. I got taken care of. I was in a boot. I was in my bed a few days later in a lot of pain. It was the middle of the night. My husband was in a deep slumber next to me. A few days before I fell, I had suddenly decided that I wanted to have one of the walls chalkboard black and one wall white. And then there was a beam. It was a vaulted ceiling in that house. It was a beam. So where the beam met the white wall and the black wall, a vortex opened up in the ceiling. Now, it's important to understand like what the vortex looked like, because I have all this background in film, because of my parents and everything. So, in the olden days when there would be celluloid, actual film nitrate, it would burn like a burn hole. Okay, so that's what that looked like. And then past that, it was almost like deep space. So it wasn't like you were opening up the ceiling like you're looking at the stars. It was more like you're opening up deep space into another vortex or something. I don't get it. I'm just telling you this is what happened. So I'm wide awake. This vortex starts to open up. I bug my eyes open. I'm looking at it kind of off into the corner. And I suddenly realize I can't move. I'm totally paralyzed. I then feel the vibrations. So these tingling, I'm getting freaked out just thinking about it. So it's going up and down my body in waves. And then it's the totality of my body. And this is sleep paralysis, but I'm wide awake. I'm absolutely 100%. I'm double checking myself and dart my eyes around, but I'm totally paralyzed. Now through this big hole that's starting to get bigger and bigger, it's about 4 feet across in the ceiling. Through that comes a disembodied, wide animalistic head that has sort of like a smaller chin and wide eyes, but they're red. But it doesn't have a body that I can see or remember. And it's floating. And it almost looks like a cartoon. It almost looks like a 2-dimensional cartoon. I'm just telling you what happened. So it comes through, it's floating through closer and closer and closer, levitating essentially towards me. And I'm more and more scared. I'm like really in the most scared moment of my life. I've had frightening things happen to me in my life with my ex-husband or whatever, like where I thought I was going to die. But this was like more frightening. And it almost was like injecting fear into me. Like I almost felt it was like part of the program or something. I don't know. And so it's coming in closer. I'm totally paralyzed. The way I describe it, it looks like a ram because it has horns. So its horns are going not this way, but this way, outwards, but really thick and outwards. And they're black and knotted. And so it looks like a demon kind of, or it looks like an extraterrestrial, or it looks like a ram. So I always called it the ram. There's a chapter in my book called The Ram. I don't know. Anyway, I'm praying now. Remember, I'm still an atheist, but I'm in the foxhole now. So I'm like praying, right? Because now I'm like, well, anything's fair game. It's coming closer and closer to me. And I basically black out. So I have no idea what happened. Okay. Now fast forward a while later, I started to think that something had happened to my foot, the foot that had fallen, but I never told anyone. I kept thinking it and thinking it and thinking it. I was afraid to tell anyone. And I have a really dear friend who lives in Iowa. So we kind of have this kind of life relationship with each other. We talk once a week, and she's an experiencer big time. And she is full of gifts. I told her, but she's like, yeah, maybe. You're absolutely right. Maybe. But I never told anyone. So years later, and I'm talking like 8 years later, so this is just a year ago, I was having a Reiki session with a Reiki master about another totally unrelated thing. And when she got to my feet, she stopped and she said, I can't even go near your feet. I cannot go near your right foot at all. I sat up on the table and I was like, okay, you're the only person I can tell this to. I'm not going to tell you anything, but just like, can you tell me what you think it is? And so she spent some time hovering over it. And basically she said ultimately that it was quote unquote otherworldly, and that she said it was like genetic material. So that's why it was never seen on any kind of x-ray. All the MRIs I've had done, all the x-rays and stuff, it just looks like scar tissue because it's genetic material. And ultimately, after a long time talking with her, long story short, she said it's a transducer or translator. It's the reason why I'm a channeler. It's the reason why I can tell in English language in my awake. I don't have to step aside. I can just listen in a certain way and then just relay the information into English. That's why. So there's something that has to do with this extraterrestrial experience and this whole sun bear thing and Victoria and now Aslo, who you'll get to. So then fast forward another year, and this is like a whole nother podcast. Well, you'll have to ask me this some other time, but I basically teach ancient Egyptology now. So it's not just that I channel. Basically, one of my other, I would say, missions or roles has to do with ancient Egyptology, which, by the way, yet again, is fully downloaded because I have no right to teach this. I'm not an Egyptologist. I'm not an archaeologist, but I'm even wearing my Anubis because I have a connection, something. I have a direct connection through this Elohim extraterrestrial who I got from Sun Bear. He connected me with Anubis. And so now what I do is I basically teach ancient Egyptology in these retreats and classes, because what that particular training is that I'm working with these individuals, it's spiritual ascension practices. It's an ancient technology for spiritual ascension. And what it does is it prepares you for extraterrestrial disclosure, because my guides told me that it's coming. And so my job is to teach these spiritual ascension tools for actually something else, which is extraterrestrial disclosure. So I hope I answered your question. I know I sound insane, but I swear I'm not. Basically, so it was that one night, again, 9 years ago. So that's my one and only that I'm aware of. I've had some very interesting dream situations, which I do believe are true. But again, I don't have proof. I was awake that night, so I know for sure that actually happened.
May I interrupt?
Yes.
Before I lose this?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this experience, this lifetime, was contractual. I can't put my finger on your origin, your ET origin. It is outside of what we would normally say, like Pleiades, Orion.
Yes, I agree with you. Yes.
You're outside of this 3D dimension, because there are multiple dimensions within this reality, right? Mm-hmm. You were in a dimension outside of this, and you come from a highly, highly advanced group of people, a civilization, and this was contractual. You coming here to doing this. Now, Sun Bear, that was a live physical human being?
Yes, Vincent.
He is also from there.
Yes.
And I can feel and see this group, your ET family group.
Yes.
And this is really, I'm just like so excited.
I got shivers all over. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Thank you, Sue. I have shivers all over. Thank you.
So this is a very advanced civilization. And one of what I'm getting is that one of the focuses for you can disagree with me or not, this is not the real reality.
That's like the essence of my book. I
You
know.
know,
I know.
this is
This ain't happening.
this is an illusion. It's a very real illusion, but it's not the real reality. And so what I'm getting is that part of your purpose in taking this path is that you are here to educate people about reality and dimensions, and this is not it.
And that's the one thing, when you get to that part in the class, that's the one thing they hate. They hate hearing that.
Really?
Because it really bugs them out. I mean, most regular people look, I teach different types of things. So I teach 2 monthly meditation classes, and then I teach some workshops and training. I teach psychic development, and then this whole ancient Egyptology thing. But anyway, when I teach psychic development, they really want to know, like, how do I have these tricks in my bag that you have? And the one reason is because I let go of reality, because I stopped believing in its permanence and weight, and that it was more important than my consciousness.
Yeah.
And I don't anymore. I now believe in my dreams more than I believe in this stuff.
Absolutely.
You know?
And,
so
and
that's how you have the power.
And it's not parlor tricks either.
No, exactly. And it's always
it
different
comes
for
from
every person.
inner awareness, and that's what's so great and beautiful about it.
And it's unique to each person. It's going to manifest in totally different ways for each person. I like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you for saying that. So yeah, the Sun Bear, just to clarify, so Vincent LeDuc was born in 1929 and he died in 1992, which I think that's interesting. And he was a White Earth Nation Native American originally from other places, but eventually settled in the Pacific Northwest. And he basically had kind of a midlife crisis where he felt the urge to have a vision quest, or what they call a walkabout. But you don't do it like as a kid. He was like a middle-aged person, like in his 30s or late 30s or whatever. He dug a pit for himself of 8 to 10 feet deep, and he got into it without food or water for a very long period of time. And he forced himself into hallucinations so that he would have what I have from falling down the stairs. And when that happened, one of the big messages to him was to share the greater reality, these higher spiritual teachings, not just what the native teachings had been his whole life, but these beyond teachings to also the white man and the black man and the yellow and the red and all the colors. And he got into really big trouble about that with his own elders. And he was ostracized from his own group. So he started his own small commune, and he did the teachings, and he did like medicine wheel work and all this kind of stuff. But it kind of, in some ways it destroyed his life, but in some ways it raised him to a higher value. And when he passed, because of this purity of his true nature and his true intentions, and that he had followed a higher calling than his own, let's say, society, right? He was given the opportunity, he loves the word opportunity, to combine his soul with a shamanic energy, which is a bunch of native, but not just Native American, but multiple native souls. And within that soul group, there are women too. There's an old woman, I'm sure I can feel her energy all the time. Other old men and things like that. They all combined into this thing called the teachings or guided wisdom. At least that's what they call it to me. And there's only a few people in the world who have been chosen to speak for Sun Bear. So when I speak for Sun Bear, I'm speaking for that collective soul. But recently, as time has gone on and my relationship with him has deepened and changed, I realized that I have like 2 different relationships with him. One is that I've been chosen to be one of his mouthpieces, right? He has a great deal of respect for me, and Dave definitely made a real choice in telling me this is what you're going to do. So that's great. But there's another part of me that is deeply in love with the flawed man. the actual man, Sun Bear. When I look at pictures of him, I feel, what words can we use here? I feel romantic feelings about him. I know I knew him. I'm positive. Now, in this lifetime, no, for sure not, because the numbers don't line up and I know that I never met him. But in some part of me, he is definitely my husband or my partner. I feel my confirmation now, like I know for sure. He means everything to me. And I've even told my husband, and he's like, yeah, well, okay.
He sounds like a great guy. He's letting you go. He's
almost a saint. Like he really has let me be all of this and more. He's a wonderful man. He's actually quite spiritual himself now. It's taken some time, and I've noticed little things that he's allowed in, and he would never admit this, but he's very intuitive. Yeah.
That's very cool.
He pretends like that's not happening, Sometimes he'll say, I'm not sure why I'm saying this, but, and I'll go, okay, here's something coming. Yeah. It's funny.
I love it.
Would you be up for a little channeling?
Yeah, sure. We could do that.
Fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
I was just going to tell you, wait a minute, there are 3 of you or there's 4 of you? Wait, I'm confused.
Just the 3 of us.
Is there always 3 of you?
Huh.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, I'm going to show you something. Around a huge cauldron, but almost like waist high, like huge, stand 4 women dressed in witches' costumes, but they know that they're witches. They're giggling because they know that they're in a witch costume, and they think it's funny. There is one of them that's different, that's kind of phasing in and out. I think you have someone helping you. I think you have a guide or something. This woman is actually both male and female, though, so I'm not sure what that means. But anyway, so around you, so you're standing, the 4 of you, and you're stirring this. You're all kind of helping to stir this thing. And inside of the cauldron is like gold. It basically looks like bubbling gold, like it's actual gold, like metallurgy is what you're doing. And you're stirring this, and then Sun Bear is coming in and he's saying, you are stirring, or he's saying spinning gold, but I want you to know that what you're really doing as you stir this and the aromas come up and stuff, what you're actually doing, he's saying, is stirring the pot of joy. When you guys do your show, you have so much joy. You chose to do this for all the right reasons, is what he's saying. He's saying, like, and now I have full body chills. So he's like kind of showing me, like, you are helping other people. So yes, people watch your show. Yes, that's super important. Yes, you're doing it for the right reasons. But this is more important, is that your togetherness is you. It's these women. It's these women. But I do want to tell you that there is this sort of other woman. I wish you could see that the hairs on all the hairs are up on my arm. I wish you knew that this woman, I'm also getting, your husband's name is Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He might be the 4th, because he does often come in
he's like part of it somehow, like in and out, phasing in and out, but there's something about him. Now also, can I ask if he has a femininity to him as well? Because I feel a perfect...
Oh, no.
No? Okay, so that ain't him. So there's a character, I call them a character, but there's a presence of this woman much older than you guys, who it has both masculine and feminine, similar to the Sun Bear Collective. So they represent a larger, I would say, wisdom, or it's very similar to mine. It's where you're tapping into larger wisdom, collective wisdom that's maybe thousands of years old, that has grown all of this time. So it feels like you sometimes tap into something that needs like unpacking, if that makes sense, right? Like for me, when I get a download, it's like a bunch of things, and then I'm slowly unpacking it to figure out what it is. But when it's given to you, it's fully formed. So you have to deconstruct it in order to understand it sometimes. At any rate.
Does this feel like someone who has had a physical life?
Yes.
In our time?
No.
Okay.
No, they're way before you.
Okay.
In linear time, if we are going to believe in linear time, which again, I'm not sure that I even do, I might die now and then be reincarnated in 3000 BC China. But this feels as though it feels similar to Victoria in that sense, that it feels like that, yes, they were human, but now they're a spirit guide. So like there are people that are now in training to be spirit guides. That's very common, especially now as the game is changing. And we're going to go to the next level. But yeah, so did any of that make sense to you? Anyway, he really loves that you guys are for each other. That's almost more important than what you share. And you're raising each other's vibration and helping each other. And the spiritual evolution that you're all helping each other with is tantamount. It's the top of the pyramid. It's the most important thing. And it's just fun. He really wants you to stir the joy. The gold is important, but the joy that's rising out of it is more important.
I love
The
that.
gold, meaning the teachings, the wisdom, it's very important. But the joy, the fun. Oh, and I know what I wanted to tell you is I was listening to, I haven't had a chance to listen to all of them, but I was listening to one of them. It was just you guys talking. It wasn't even like you had a guest or anything. And at one point you were talking about how sometimes people return. They choose to reincarnate, like they wouldn't want to, but they're like, okay, I'll do it because of the chocolate. Do you remember talking about that?
Yes, I do. I do.
I was laughing
The chocolate.
100%.
That would be my reason.
Absolutely.
For a good fudge, I'll be back. Yeah, for sure.
I'll come back for chocolate.
And
nothing
I
else.
really don't want to come back. It's
don't want to
been
come back.
Such a hard
But
life.
if you're going to dangle some fudge in front of me, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do it in Europe, though.
Yeah, right.
Belgian, Dutch chocolate. Yeah, that's much better. That is so cool. That I have to say that the first thing you said with the cauldron and the witches around the cauldron, I have joked with them that we need a fourth person to fill out the elements of air, water.
You know who I've been thinking about is Nicole.
Yeah, sure. That would totally rock.
The whole time you were talking about that, about the fourth person, the interview that we did with Nicole, when was that? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And she fits our energy very well. The three of us have a great energy together. And this fourth woman, Nicole, would be a great fit also.
Do it.
We may have our coven.
Wow. 4 of us crazy people.
That could be really crazy in a good way.
In a good way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was awesome. Thank you.
That is fabulous. Thank you.
I see a phone call coming up.
Many. Another Zoom.
With Nicole.
Yeah.
Private
well, she's
Zoom.
coming back.
Oh, yeah.
The 5th, next week.
Oh, this is next week. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
On Sunday.
Nice.
Have you known her for a long time?
I've known her since
Okay,
2016.
It's good that somebody you know
we
really
went
well.
to we met at an end of life doula training.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple of times. Yeah.
And she's a singer.
Oh, great.
So, yeah. Oh,
Good.
thank you for that.
It's always fascinating to me that there are so many people in this side of the spiritual downloads that are also musicians and actors and artists and singers, all of that.
Yes.
It's
There's
almost
definitely
like it's
a
naturally connected.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
So I'm very interested in this Egyptology
Yes.
that you teach.
That's brand new.
And you just, your connection with Anubis has given you these downloads, apparently, right?
Right. And so I basically, it's really hard to explain, but so I started as just a channeler of Sun Bear, and I would teach meditation. And then the way I do it is that I do a special kind of meditation with them that brings them out of their beta brainwaves and down into a quieter frame. And then there's this special way that we do it. And then I kind of step aside and bring him forth, and he does guided visualizations. And so I've been teaching that I have people literally that have been taking classes with me for almost 9 years. Because they are getting something out of it. Right. And a lot of my students tend to be, it's really interesting the way my students are young people, like in their 20s, and then boomers, like tons of boomers. I don't know why. There's in the middle, maybe they're busy, they go to work or something.
Sorry, we have to go to work.
Just like regular contributing members of society, so they're not as interested.
They're still in the matrix, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the boomers, I noticed, they think about things more deeply. A lot of these people that happen to be in my class, they've been on the path for much longer than me. They've been on the path for many, many years. They've studied the Essenes, the Gnostics. They've studied things that I didn't even really know about, but they seem to be getting something so much from Sun Bear that even though I'm a flawed human and I'm just an empty vessel, that's it. They are definitely getting something from Sun Bear. So they keep coming back with quite dedication to him. So he brings in other, let's say, consciousnesses to me sometimes in class. Like I have channeled Yeshua and I've channeled Yahweh and I've channeled like other people. And then there was this sort of character that was called Aslo. I think I'm saying his name right. Maybe it's Oslo, but it was somebody that he was connected with from before and had written about it. And then it suddenly was inside my consciousness. And he's like a representative of the Elohim. And the Elohim are, well, we're really getting into like uncharted territory here, but basically it has to do with us and our genetic makeup, let's say, which was created by them on some level. So, if you can hang with that.
We're a science experiment.
Okay. Yeah. They believe in how beautiful we are and what an amazing creation we are. And the project director, this sort of scientist / artist, Yahweh, that you will hear of in the biblical terms, is actually an Elohim, because Elohim means, when you see that in the Bible, that's an incorrect, like it's not God, that is the sky people, is basically the literal translation of it, the people from the sky, or like what the natives used to call the sky people. And it's a plural word. It's a plural word. It's not a singular. So they, as part of the greater creation from the greats, what my native tradition calls, so ever since I've been connected with Sun Bear, I call God the Great Spirit. That's the name that I use for, so whenever I say the Great Spirit, I mean the God of your understanding, if that makes sense. So whoever you pray to, the greatest of all greats, the everythingness, the all that is, the supreme, the one true thing. There's many words that come to me when yes, there's all there. They all are good. The unnameable, really. So these Elohim are also a product or a expression, let's say, of the Great Spirit as well, as all things are. You know, this glass of water is an expression of the Great Spirit too. It's all. I'm getting to the Egypt, I promise. But so what happened was Aslo became part of my thing that I could channel, and I helped my students with that. And then I don't even know how it happened. One day I literally just woke up with it. It's the way it is with everything with me now. It's like I try not to second guess it anymore because it gets in the way when I second guess it. I think I'm better off just calling it creativity or something that I feel comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like, so that my little brain will just say, oh, I'm just being whimsical or creative, but I know they're downloads. You know what I mean? Like I know what's going on here, but I like to keep it light because otherwise I take myself too seriously or something. Anyway, so it's a delicate balance to channel. Like I noticed the balance between confidence, because you must have great confidence, and humility, because you are nothing. You're a hollow bone through which things move. Is an interesting balance, because you must have confidence. You must believe that you're doing it, and you must believe that you're doing it well, because otherwise you won't do it well, essentially. So anyway, but then you also have to be super humble. So that's hard. And then, you know, I'm a performer, so I come with lots of ego. All of us creative types, we come with tons of ego. So anyway, I'm a mess. But anyway, seems to be working so far. So one day I had all this Egypt stuff, and I went on the internet because I wanted to question it and second guess it. And I had a wonderful deep dive of learning all these things, but then also learning how they'd been tweaked for archaeological mainstream quote unquote history, and how that wasn't quite right. And let me just give you one example, like of a kind of fun, interesting way of thinking about it. So like Anubis, right? The character of Anubis, who is supposed to walk you through the process of the death through the underworld, right? In this ancient belief system. He has a black body, like a black man's body, and a black jackal's head, okay, with a snout and everything. And he has his garb. He's black, right? So when in the 1800s, like in my house is like very Victorian. So in the 1800s, when the idea of Egyptology actually began to be exciting to the Victorians, especially in England, but also in the United States, but mostly in England, this was at the same time when black would be considered the color of death and the color of mourning. You would wear still a black band around your arm, and black was considered death, the end of life, not death. But if you knew Egypt and if you understood Egypt, you would understand that once a year, the Nile floods and it washes over into the banks. And the way that soil is black represents new life. It represents fertility. Now I'm getting my shivers all over. They like to do this all the time. So the Nile and this overflooding, and this happens also in South America once a year, where there's like Portuguese, Brazilian songs that talk about this major flooding where everything falls through the river. Furniture will be on the river. It's horrible. It's like a cleansing. It's like a birth process. So that black soil represents fertility. It represents new life. It represents growth and basically survival, because without it, there's no crops. So even our understandings of things are so skewed by old ways of thinking about things and the misremembering of the true ancient path. So stuff like that would come to me, and then things were coming to me. So the Anubis path, it's very complicated, but I'll try to tell you a few things. So it was actually not so much a god of death as he was a technician. He had scales that he would balance the human heart against what's called the feather of Ma'at. And the feather of Ma'at is obviously doesn't weigh very much, so your heart has to be light.
Right.
And what he meant by that was that as you go through life, and a lot of what they teach me, what Oslo says to me, is that what I'm teaching is that death preparation is how to live. You understand? Preparing for death, which we're all doing all the time,
right,
is a good way to learn how to live. Because as you're lightening your heart in this preparation with these, they do the 42 negative confessions, where they stand in this great hall and talk to all these 42 different demons or gods about the things that they have or have not done. The same thing with the feather of Ma'at is that you would learn that it's not good to carry heavy things in your heart throughout your life, like regret and shame and guilt, anger, retribution or revenge. So many things, even a lack of belief in yourself. All these things, and he has many, many things he talks about in these classes, are all things that you say, oh, I'm doing these things to prepare so that when I reach these gates, I'll be judged with perfect precision through this technician of Anubis. But I also, as you're doing them, you're lightening your heart so that your journey right now is so much better. And then he says that as we're passing through, he meaning Aslo, not Anubis, but the extraterrestrial guidance, he's saying, look, as we pass from third dimension, this way of being right now, to what's going to happen, and it is going to happen, and we're very lucky that we get to be here, you're going to want to do those same kind of processes because it will prepare you for this other way of living all the time. And also, it will prepare us as a species to receive true disclosure about the extraterrestrial thing. Not like what you're hearing on the news or whatever, but the actual disclosure. We will eventually learn of our origins, and we'll learn how we're all connected, and that there are many races, and that we're just one of them. We're extraterrestrials. You know what I mean? Like, we'll learn that. And as we learn that, and we come into a state of acceptance of all possibilities on a spectrum, which is one of the things that both of my guides and Sun Bear and all of them teach, and Yeshua as well, as they talk about it, heart, mind, coherence, and acceptance of all things on a spectrum. So it's a godlike state that we're learning. We're always learning this godlike state. That's what we're here for. And then as we do that, and the game itself, the Maya, the illusion, transitions, we'll be in a very good place to help be way showers to other people to how to do that, if that makes sense. So my little team of young and old people that I tend to teach and that go on retreats with me and things, like, I feel that, and it's interesting. The first thing, when you were talking about the projects, you gave me my reading in the beginning. This has something to do with that too. And I don't really know quite what that is yet, but everything's connected. I know that for sure. Like, all my stuff is connected. My book, the second book, the teachings, the teachings I do for Sun Bear, the teachings I do for Oslo, this whole extraterrestrial thing, everything's connected. I may not know it yet, but eventually I'll understand. I hope that answered your question.
It did.
Yeah.
Your meditation class, do you do that over Zoom?
No, I have never done that over Zoom. I tried during 2020, but I ended up bringing people to my backyard, and we sat in the backyard. I think that there will come a time when I teach things on Zoom too. I have felt that some of the Egyptology would work well as online coursework, but I haven't gotten there yet, because the channeling, I really enjoy having those energetic bodies in the room with me, and we sit in a perfect circle. I never top down. It's always in a perfect circle, and it's magic. Basically, it's magic. I get to witness and be a part of and bring forth magic twice a month. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. But I would like to eventually also do that.
Annalisa, Terry, do you have any questions?
I agree with everything that you have said 100%. I believe the way that you believe. I struggle with, the chaos that's going on in the world right now. And I get to a point where I just have to turn it all off and stop thinking about it. But I know that this is a good thing that is happening. I know that this has been in the works for a very long time. And we are going through something historical and magical. And just the fact that we get to be here to experience it is phenomenal. Even though I have my moments where I'm standing in front of the TV and I'm screaming and I'm going, "You're such an idiot."
Why are we letting this happen?
I know. Why? I know it's for the best, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, you're along for the ride too, which is good. Yeah. And I know it's difficult, but I actually think it's very healthy to turn it off. And I think it's very healthy to go within. And also to do other things that are fun and whimsical and joyful. I swear my favorite word is whimsy. It really is. I love it, because I think you need to go outside. You need to be in the fractals of nature, and you need to make things, which is a uniquely human special thing. Making things, whether it's you're writing or you're singing or you're drawing, and it's only just for the act of doing it, not for publication or for monetary gain. And I just think that there's so much power in stepping away from the world. I have these little visual storytelling experiments on my YouTube channel. I'll make sure I forward it to you. One of them is called The Man Who Ignored the World. And it's a really powerful way of looking at exactly what you're talking about. So I'll make sure I forward it to you. I have a lot of little stories. They're like 10 minutes or 5 minutes. All of those stories are connected to my second book.
I've just found for myself that it's so easy to get sucked into everything.
Right.
And it's so much, for my mental health, I have to just turn it off and be my own thinker, because everybody is telling you what to do. It doesn't matter what corner of the room it's coming from. Everybody is telling you what to do and how to feel and how to do it.
Totally.
And there's also the faction of people going, why aren't you more enraged? Join with my anger. And I'm like, I don't want to. I mean, I may agree with you, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, sure. Happy to. And then I go, wait, stop.
Yeah, and those big displays of people marching in the streets and stuff, that's loose energy right there. When you have a collective mass enragement, you're creating energy as a feeding source for something very negative.
Exactly.
And I don't want to play in that playground. That's not I'm having a lot more fun doing little tiny whimsical things.
Yep.
It's interesting that I feel like I need to know what's going on so that when the time comes, I will be fully informed and be able to help people better.
You know what Sun Bear calls that? He says that you don't want to be caught with your pants down.
Yes.
There you go. Exactly.
But it's so silly because, it's just going to be a new thing to be enraged about, like whatever the next thing. It's just going to be one after the other. It's literally, that's the whole point of the Tell Live vision, is to continue to create that energy, and we fall for it. We're totally, it's
hypnotic. It's very hypnotic.
It's very hypnotic. Especially the little one in your hand. Don't you find as you're, I almost am sucked into a vortex, and I feel like that can't be good for me. I think almost maybe even technologically there's something going on there, because I feel literally a difficulty in pulling my consciousness away from it. And I'm embarrassed to say it's a very
attractive,
addictive thing.
It's addictive.
Yeah.
It can take
the funny thing is, it's like a day to turn off.
To get addicted.
Yes.
Yeah.
It only
can take a day.
And it can take quite a while to get off of it.
Yes.
I love being off of it.
I think the addictiveness is part of me feels like the addictiveness is, oh gosh, my mind just went totally blank. By design. I think it's by design.
It's like planned obsolescence is by design.
Yes.
It's going to break down in a year and you have to buy a new one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can keep us, and I use this word they, I don't even know who they is, but whatever. If they can keep us distracted and sucked in to all of it, they win. And I don't want that to happen. So when I do watch something, I try really hard not to get emotionally attached to it. And then usually what I'll do is I'll just laugh and go, there's such a bunch of dumbasses.
They're being silly.
Hell.
Yeah. No, I have to make it like kindergartners. I have to look at that and go, oh,
I know.
Bless their hearts. Because if not, I will be completely frustrated and angry. And I don't want that energy at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
There are people who know why it's happening. And I do think that there's like a delicate balance between, we should know. I do agree with you that we should on some level know.
Stay awake.
The revelations and all of that are happening, the unfolding, the revealing is important, but the nut is like, it gets smaller and smaller as you peel off layers, and it's really dark inside. Like I've seen some stuff that's really dark. I've been witness to things that are very, very dark. And so you'd have to be almost like a superhero in order to keep your vibration at a tempered, sort of balanced state, but still be able to look at those things. If you really want to know the underbelly, I am reading a book right now called Transformation of America by Kathy O'Brien. Do you know who that is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I mean, there is some
MK Ultra.
If that's true, let me put it this way. If it's true, because we don't know, but let's pretend just like at least 50% of it is true, then I just don't know what to think about everything, because then that means there's something so much worse than I could even possibly imagine in my whole, and it goes all the way to the top.
Yep.
And everybody's involved in it. Like literally police, doctors, you name it, they're all involved. And if that's true, I could see where we've been rebooted before. Now, I'm told by my guides that this time we make it and we don't need to get rebooted. But I could see where under some circumstances like that we would deserve a rebooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If the sacrifice and the children and all of that stuff.
That stuff is becoming way more, you hear about it more. Not that it's mainstream, but you hear about it more. And you're like, there's got to be something to it. If I keep hearing about this.
Well, that's the problem. Exactly. Because I think that you're right. I think maybe it's possible that it's just to make us feel like crap.
Could be. could be.
I don't know.
But
I don't know anything. I mean, the one thing
exactly. I don't
now
know
I'm
anything.
perfectly fine saying I don't know anything anymore since I fell down the stairs. So for exactly 9 years, I know
nothing.
next to nothing.
I know nothing.
The more you know, the less you know.
That's very true.
Yes.
I find that when I get too sucked in and I can recognize when I'm starting to get angry and it seeps out to other things in my life that are close by.
Right.
And when I recognize that, one of my saving graces is I listen to near-death experiences.
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
I love those. They totally reset me in a way that's I'm not completely immersed in this humanness. You know, you get reminded of what's not necessarily the end, you know.
You also have to keep telling yourself that there are more good people in this world than there are not.
Yes.
True. But the
100%.
squeaky wheel gets the oil, so
Absolutely.
you're going to hear about it more.
Exactly. When you watch all that stuff, you think everybody is like that, and it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Right. The vast majority of people are very good and want good.
Yes.
Even if they're traumatized by their own stuff, underneath there's that heart of what Yeshua calls the heart of man.
I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And sometimes what I do to like try to decompress from all of that stuff is I've read a little bit about the default mode network. Do you know what that is? It's kind of a science thing. So the brain, so if you can imagine our lives like 200 years ago where we didn't, which on an evolutionary scale, by the way, is like a blink of an eye because we've been around for so long. So 200 years is not, we've done a lot in 200 years, but 200 years ago, you wouldn't even be able to like listen to a recording, let alone watch TV, talk on the phone, nothing like that. So you had a lot of hours that were spent in silence.
Right.
And there's a certain type of brain synapse firing that only happens in absolute silence or in nature, like if you're outdoors or whatever. And that actually they say that since you have to have a minimum of 2 hours per day of silence. In other words, no data streaming into your consciousness. So in other words, you're not listening to a podcast, you're not listening to a video, you're not watching something, you're just being. So you can do things like you can work in the garden or you can knit or you can sit and look at your dog or whatever, but you can't have data incoming. So there's no processing, right? But if you don't have that, you actually apparently lose IQ points. So like we lose the ability to make connections, I guess, and reason and come up with things. And if you notice, so I spent a lot of time doing this in my backyard because the one thing you'll notice in my book, I don't know if you've gotten as far as Blackjack, my parrot. So I have a parrot. He's an African gray and he came to us through a long circuitous thing. It's not a rescue, but anyway, we inherited him. And he's high maintenance. So I have several cages for him, like indoors, outdoors, and he loves to spend his mornings outdoors. So I wrote this book by sitting outdoors for at least 3 or 4 hours a day, because if I leave, he will scream. So he wants me there. So I was like a prisoner to my parrot. So, but I would also, like sit down, shut up and listen to me sing. But anyway, he would just sit there and so I would just sit there sometimes and I would have this default mode network kind of, it's not meditation. It's not, it's something else. It's just this like the absence of incoming data. And the first thing you'll notice is that memories will pop up out of nowhere about seemingly random shit that it's not even about anything, but it's your brain sort of processing something that you never got to process. And you just sort of, I don't know, you're just going through the motions of thinking about it. But then after about 20 minutes, and I actually read some articles about this, they've done studies on this. It's between 19 and 21 minutes that you actually start going into this thing called the default mode network, which is where they say, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but that's where the gold is. This is the second time I've talked about gold today.
I agree. Totally.
There's gold there. Any kind of problem that you're having, the solution is there. Any kind of creative thing, it'll pop up. It'll come forward. It'll come through. So anyway, I just feel like that like I sometimes imagine myself sitting on a porch or something and it's 150 years ago and you're just somebody, snapping peas or something and you're just being, because that's all there is. See, we don't know that because it's been so long now that we've had too much.
We're the last generation. We're the last generation who have both. We had it before and we've had it after. We are the last people. It's odd to me.
It is really odd. And I kind of have this sort of death wish for the internet and for AI and everything. Like every once in a while, I wish that it would all just shut down just for like a couple months so we could all reset.
That's fine. I don't want it to go away forever though, because I absolutely love the good that it brings. It brings us and to be able to have a Zoom and chat and do this stuff.
Yeah.
It allows that to go out to other people. I love the technology. I hate the people who abuse it.
Yes.
and the fact that it can be abused.
I love that it exists, but like everyone else, I'm not immune to its addictive nature.
Sure.
I don't know what the answer is for that. I still haven't been able to figure it out.
I don't know. A regulation is probably not the answer, but something needs to be.
We have to
boundaried.
Be kind of disciplined with ourselves.
Exactly.
And we're not.
Not at all. I mean, who's going to do that? Who wants to be disciplined?
It's really hard.
It's very hard.
It's really hard.
Very hard. Because I will have panic attack. Where's my phone?
Yeah. Everybody does. You're in good company. You're not. There's nothing wrong with you.
I've never done that before.
Everybody. And it's recent though, don't you think? Like it is. Like.
Because it wasn't when we had the little flips or it's
but
only when the
even
smartphone.
Beyond that, like I noticed it around 2020. Something happened because I was watching a lot of videos on 2020 because I had the dream 10 months before that this was going to happen, right? So I was already predicting it. I was like, when it happened, I was crazy. I was like, oh my God, I told you this was going to happen.
I knew it.
My friends were like, shut up. But then when it happened and we were all stuck indoors, and we did consume more media because what else were you going to do?
Yeah.
I do think something shifted there during that time because I noticed my addictions to media changed around that period of time.
I think you're right. I think there was I know for me personally, I can only speak for me personally, I didn't have a problem with being locked in the house for a year. Like I realized that wasn't the hardship for me. The hardship for me is when maybe the power would go out and then all of a sudden I didn't have the internet. I didn't know how do I communicate if I need help? How do I, because everything in my house is Wi-Fi. The cell phones don't work in my house. So it has to be Wi-Fi that will, and if the Wi-Fi goes, that means the phones go.
Right.
So there was a slight panic around needing the internet, needing the Wi-Fi.
Well, I think COVID had a lot to do with it.
Of course. That's what I mean. It's like we weren't allowed to leave the house for a year.
Yeah.
And as much as that was terrifying for most people, for me, I was like, I can do this. This is fine. I like
that's how we live anyway.
Okay.
Exactly. A lot of people felt that way. A lot of us felt that way.
And that was wild. I remember we just had a blackout, like a mini blackout. It was only like a few hours. And my mom and I were like, well, we're in the dark. What do we do? And we went back to what we did when I was a kid. We played crosswords. We played cards by flashlight. I mean, and it was fun. And it was so cool because it was like in the middle of an early part of the night. It was dark, but it wasn't like,
That's like the nostalgic future.
That's exactly what that was. And it felt connected. We were laughing. And it was like.
That's magical time.
It really was.
Yeah.
I really worry about the kids these days because you see the young people and they're outside with their friends and everybody's on their phone.
Yeah.
Texting each other.
They're not connecting. They're
right in front of each other.
And they're right in front of each other.
I have to tell you one little good thing, at least that I've seen, and I'm just from my frame of reference. My daughter's 24. Her husband's 27. They play Dungeons and Dragons once a week.
Love that.
In their kitchen around a table, just like Stranger Things, with their friends, a bunch of them. They love it.
I've never found a group to play that with, but I have always thought that was one of the best
they
games
do that
ever.
and they do a movie night. I mean, these are 20-somethings and they refuse. During that period of time, they put the phones in the basket and they
That's so great to hear.
Yes,
I love that.
it does
I
happen.
love stuff like that.
And she even told me, like, she had talked to some of her friends. Her friends were like, "Oh, I'm doing a media ban. I'm never going to let my kids have me." Like, they know. They know.
Yeah.
They know something's not right about this.
Yeah, they can feel it.
Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know. Fingers crossed.
I remember in the 70s, the biggest deal was the digital clocks that came out. And they were getting so upset because kids aren't going to learn how to read analog clocks if you give them a digital watch.
It's
and
true,
that was
though.
the biggest, it is, but that was the biggest fear back then.
And now kids don't know how to read cursive. They can't read
Oh,
cursive.
I know. They don't
That's
even teach
crazy.
cursive anymore.
That's right. And AI cannot depict cursive. Did you know that?
I
It
did
cannot
not.
read cursive,
Wow.
which I don't understand because they're using AI to delineate some of the cuneiform. So how
they
could
really?
they're using
How could it
AI
not read cursive?
Exactly. That doesn't make
maybe-
any sense.
Is it
Because it's
because
so
all of our
unique to
handwriting
each
is
person.
different? Yeah, I was going
Yes.
to say all of our handwriting is different. So
I used that actually, and I have an outline for my second book. I'm using that as one of my, like little storytelling devices. Yeah, the kids find this book, and it's in one of those little, what a free book box is?
Yeah.
Like on the street. We have one here in
have
my
them
historic.
here too.
Yeah, I love it. And so the kids in this story find this book, and it's in cursive, so they don't know who anybody could ever understand it.
Find
And
an
then
old person.
they find this old woman who's supposed to be my character, but she's the witch. Everybody knows her as the witch. Like, oh, don't go back there. I've heard you can't even come out of there. And, so then they finally make friends with the witch. And anyway, so I'm using that as a device.
I love that device. That's awesome.
It's sad that kids can't read cursive.
That's just frightening to me.
Well, we're running out of time,
All right.
Okay.
Bummer.
but there is no time.
There's no such
time.
thing.
Yeah, so keep on talking.
It's our illusion.
Thank you very much. By the way, thank you so much for
thank
spending
you
your
so
time
much.
with me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where can people find you and connect with you and learn more about your work? And
Thank you
take a
for
look at your
asking.
artwork too.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you for asking. I have 3 websites, so I'll go real slow. So my name is Tokeli. It rhymes with totally, and it's Tokeli. It's Tokeli. So Tokeli.com is the first place. Very simple and easy to reach me. And that's a really cool site if you want to look at artwork or see some videos from music stuff or anything like that. But if you really want to know more about the spiritual path and you'd like to take classes with me or go on retreats or anything like that, learn about Egypt or learn about channeling, you would go to spiritualawakening.world. So a lot of people don't know this, but if you can't find your domain, because a lot of people are looking for domains down, they're all taken up with .coms, right? Spiritualawakening.com is obviously not available, but .world is a whole new world, and you can probably get the domain you want if you go to .world. So anyway, www.spiritualawakening.world. So I got very lucky on that one. And then the last one is my publisher's website, which just to find out more information about the book. The book is not out. The Nostalgic Future is coming out in a few months, but you can get on a list and be notified of when it's going to come out. And that is Hidden House. So Hidden House, also .world.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This has been great fun.
Yes.
Would you like to come back?
Yes, I would love to come back. Yeah,
awesome.
we had.
Excellent.
I don't think we asked any of the questions you had.
I was looking over it, and you talked about everything, I believe.
Okay, good. That's good.
And I'm sure we can find other things to talk about
yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Pretty sure.
I would love to talk more about Sun Bear because he's a wonderful.
I would love to learn more about Sun Bear.
Definitely.
Yeah, me too.
So as we wrap up, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, like, share, leave us a review, and join the conversation in the comments. Your support helps us continue bringing thoughtful discussions about consciousness, spirituality, and the mysteries of life. Until next time, thank you for spending time with us. We love you, we appreciate you, and we will see you next episode.